Well, hello again, and welcome back to Hear Me Out. It's just a thought. Every once in a while, there is something that starts happening in the background of culture that most people don't really notice unless they're paying close attention or unless they happen to live right in the middle of it. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Because lately I have been seeing a lot of conversation online, especially from content creators who follow religious movements, about all of the changes happening inside the Jehovah Witness organization. And I want to say right from the start, you don't need to be a Jehovah Witness to find this one interesting. And you don't even need to be particularly interested in Jehovah Witnesses at all. I will explain why. What is happening is actually a really good case study, I think, in how religious systems, you can insert whatever other word you want, a political system, how they handle authority and change and identity, especially when, and this one hits really home, especially when they have spent decades presenting themselves as fundamentally different, right? Fundamentally different from everyone else. And so that's what I want to talk about. And because people keep telling me that I talk too much before I get into the topic, let me stop here and say, hear me out. It's just a thought. Okay, first things first. If you're new here, my name is Gigi. This is the Hear Me Out podcast. I like to talk about everything faith, everything culture, and everything in between. I want to grow in wisdom with you, learn from you, teach you whatever I can, but also you get to teach me whatever you can. I like to discuss whatever is trending online to see what we can learn about it. And regarding the Jehovah Witness organization, for you who might be new here, or you might be wondering why I even care about this topic, it's pretty simple. I've said it in the past on previous episodes. I live among Jehovah Witnesses. I'm surrounded by Jehovah Witnesses. They are my, friends and family. And I talk to them regularly. I listen. I attend some Kingdom Hall meetings sometimes when I need to show up for a friend. So they're people I interact with every single day. I tried joining the Jehovah Witnesses back when I thought they had the right stuff, the right sauce. And unfortunately, that did not work out for me because no, they don't have the right sauce. But I have a special spot in my heart for them. I just can't help it. And so I want to be very clear about that because I always think clarity matters when we talk about sensitive topics. And so I just wanted to say I genuinely do care about the Jehovah Witness people. I don't see them as, enemies. I don't see them as unintelligent or these people that we have to laugh at. No, I don't have a problem with Jehovah Witnesses as believers. I do have a problem with false doctrine and spiritual control and this, like I said, the systems that claim divine authority while discouraging honest questioning. And I think that applies, unfortunately. So that's my position. Let's talk about kind of why I keep not flip-flopping, that's not the right word, why I keep talking about lies and religious organizations and just us having to be discerning when it comes to, yes, religion, but also politics and culture and everything trendy, I guess. The Jehovah Witness organization, unfortunately, provides some of the most interesting and revealing material for critical thinking that I personally have ever come across. I don't know if you agree or disagree. I guess I should stop here and ask you, do you know any Jehovah Witnesses? Are you a Jehovah Witness? Have you been around Jehovah Witnesses? Have you read their materials, seen their stuff? Where are you with Jehovah Witnesses? Or is it just very unknown to you and you've only heard about them and the jokes about them and the Saturday, morning knocking on your door? What do you know about JWs? What do you not know about JWs? That could be a first step to kind of me gathering info about who knows them and who doesn't. And so the system, right, is extremely, I call it the system. I don't know why I got used to call it the system. It's extremely structured. It is historically, it's been very, very confident in its claims and very clear about what the governing body, which are the people that kind of lead this organization, what they expect from the members. And like I said, that very combination makes it really powerful case, example to study if you care about wisdom and discernment, which I do. Hopefully you do as well. And especially when you are raising kids, which I am, right? I've told you before, I have 3 kids that are under the age of 10. I care about their future. I care about what they're going to be taught as they grow up. I care about how they will think about things. I plan on not teaching them what to think, but how to think. And so I care about all of that. I made an episode a couple of days ago about Candace Owens because, like I said, you put the word Candace Owens somewhere in the title and just people are drawn in. But I keep doing that episodes about Candace and the audience and religious movements and culture and TV and media. All of those things are things that I think about because I have kids and because I realized as I grew up that I was being lied to left and right, not necessarily because people woke up every day and decided to lie to me, but we live in a world of systems that are not necessarily teaching us the right things. And that's kind of why I'm here yapping on the internet every now and then. And so I haven't said this at the top of the episode, but if that hits home for you, of course, subscribe. We go together. We already go together. You know it. Our kids will go together. So hit the like button and subscribe to help me reach more people. But also let me know your thoughts. I don't believe that I know every single thing. I may be wrong on a couple of things. So I welcome correction, of course. I welcome feedback. This is a conversation. Anyway, so click subscribe. So the kids, I was thinking about, do I need to make this episode or not? I know my core audience, which is a new word that I've learned in this media world. I'm not sure people care about this topic too much, but I need to make it because I need to make it. I need it to be available when it matters. And so when I think about my kids, right, and your kids, if you have kids, they're growing up in a world where either, right, they're going to be taught lies by the culture and then live to regret it later if nobody course corrects, or they're going to be taught extreme or distorted religious ideas, by false teachers and live to regret it later. If you have missed the background of all of these things that I'm saying, you can check out my episode about the end of the world not happening as done and predicted by a South African, pastor. You can check out the Catholic stuff that I talked about. You can check out the JW stuff that I talked about. So it's not necessarily me, talking about a specific group. I think all groups can be guilty of false teaching. We are the people that are responsible for learning how to discern this and also teaching all children how to think. So I'm always thinking, not just as a Christian, but I guess as a parent, how do we teach wisdom? How do you actually teach wisdom in a world that speaks with so much confidence? It's a hard question, and I struggle with that sometimes, but I do my best, and I know every parent does their best. And so that's the lengths. I tried to say lengths and length together, didn't work. That's the length I'm bringing to the episode. So the changes. Let's actually talk about the changes because they're not imaginary. They're very significant, especially for people who are and were in that organization. If I only think about, the last 3 to 5 years, we've seen a steady stream of adjustments within the organization. If you're, again, new here, they call it the organization. We call it, that's just a word that they use for the their religion. So there's been a steady, stream of adjustment, and things that were once treated as very, very, very serious spiritual matters, I guess sometimes even as markers of, I used to call it, they were like markers of faithfulness, right? Or obedience. And now they're being softened and reframed and reversed quietly, or not so quietly. So I wrote down, where's my paper? I wrote down what I can remember. Things like, was it the first one? I wrote, I think it was the time thing. I'll go without a specific order, but the beards, for example, which for a very, very, very long time were strongly discouraged and often associated with rebellion and pride and worldliness. And now they're permitted openly, and people around me immediately started growing beards. And to witness that is actually very bizarre, because you have to come to the conclusion that, yes, obedience is a good thing in a way. I'm not going to lie. Obeying as you feel like you're being given spiritual food is a quality, but also it's ridiculous. It was ridiculous for me to see people without a beard then appear with a beard because it was not permitted. But Jehovah doesn't change, right? God doesn't change. So that was a weird one. I'm not going to lie. I thought, what? And then there was the pants thing, women wearing pants, which in many congregational contexts used to be unthinkable and is now allowed. I've seen that change immediately as well. One of the latest one was, I think, the higher do they call it higher education? Let me see what they call it. Oh, they call it additional. I'm just checking. Hold on. Yeah, additional. Sorry, I needed to check the right term for that. But yes, higher education, meaning college, university, everything after high school. If you have been following, if not, I'm going to blow your mind. But for decades, it was framed as, I guess, spiritually dangerous and unnecessary at best, and faith destroying at worst, to go to college, to go to university, to pursue higher education. And it's now being discussed as a noticeably more nuanced way, I think, a noticeably different way. And I think they published that update. And when I say update, the Jehovah Witnesses kind of published these monthly updates where they teach whatever's new, whatever's changing, or they encourage, or they just openly push out a message to the people worldwide, the brothers and sisters worldwide. And that happened in August of 2025. So now you can pursue not higher, they don't call it higher, but additional education, and it's kind of fine. This one really is special because if you go to any content creators comment section that talk about this, not me, because I don't have that specific core audience for people that only talk about JW stuff. If you read the testimonies of people that had to give up, or I guess not go to college, and the pressure they were under, and the just how the elders, I guess as they call them, would discourage them to do that, and how they were just, if you go and take a moment to read that, I think you'll lose your mind, because sometimes we have things that happen, like I said, and we're not in it, we're not paying attention, we're like, oh well, great, they changed your mind. But for some people, these things that I'm mentioning are life changing, and they have changed their lives. They missed out on a lot of things, and they maybe lived in precarity, because it's just crazy to read people's comments about this very topic. And so I'm here and I'm kind of chatty about it, and I'm talking about discernment, but it's also real life things for real life people. The comments are really heartbreaking. Yes. So college is now a thing, and I'm not here, by the way, you may disagree with me. I don't think college is a must. I did go to college, but I don't think that every single person should go to college. I do believe also in, other trades and things like that. But a religious organization shouldn't discourage anybody from going to college and pursuing education and going into a career and whatever. That it's just not okay. And so I'm not here to say go to college, but I'm really not here to say don't go to college. I think we need every trade under the sun for the world to function. What else did I write? Clinking glasses. I think I made an episode about that. You can go and find that. So clinking glasses, toasting, all of that, which again, if you're not familiar with it, with this topic or this JW world, you might be like, huh? Which I agree. Yes. What else? Certain like social customs that were once treated as, conscience issues. Everything that was, I guess, marked as with a pagan origin has kind of been relaxed. My prediction, obviously, is that they're going to have to address birthdays and things like that, and Christmas, all of that, because it's inevitable. Mark my words, it will happen. So yeah, like I said, if you're not familiar with the Jehovah Witness culture, all of this might sound trivial and like, what does it have to do with me, really? But for people who were inside that system, or people like me who are witnessing all of these things in real life happen to people I truly, truly love and care for, and as someone who was interested, when I first heard about the Jehovah Witnesses and how they studied the Bible and stuff like that, I was genuinely interested. I was like, where do I sign? I'm good. I want to join. And as I studied, thank God, thank our literal God, that I just realized it was just, what's the polite word for BS? I'm sorry. It was untrue and false doctrine, because I could have been, anyways, I didn't get into it. So the rules, they shaped people's lives in very real ways, and now they're all different. And like I said, it's not just about education. It was about career choices and family dynamics and social standing and disfellowshipment. Disfellowshipment? Is that a word? Disfellowshipment? No. Disfellowshipping. Sorry, guys. All of that. And some people gave things up that they can't get back. Not things as in like material stuff, but things as in lifestyles and friendships and family relationships and all of that. Some people have felt guilt, right? Guilt is a very common thread in the JWs. Some people were judged and corrected and, sidelined because of these issues. And now it's just not a big deal. So let me get to the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is, how do we handle that? Not we because we're in it, but we because it's something that can happen to us, whether it is whoever's in authority in our lives, who kind of teaches us and tells us how to live. It can happen to us. So my question is, the question that I have in my head is like, when a religious organization like this has historically referred to itself as the truth, right? If you don't know this, they call the organization The Truth. It could be a joke, but it's not. This is real life. When it has emphasized again and again and again that it is fundamentally different from all other Christian groups, that, it alone has clarity and divine guidance, and then changes like this matter, you have to ask questions. I have to ask questions. I just can't. We can't not ask questions if we're trying to grow and be mature and prevent ourselves from being manipulated or our kids from being manipulated. It raises a very uncomfortable but necessary question, which I also said that this applied to the teaching that the Catholic Church had about the Mary situation. Were these teachings actually biblical truth, or were they some kind of culture presented as, God's will, as divine will? You just can't. Yeah. And My second thought about it is, if they were culture, like organizational culture, which they were, why are they enforced with such spiritual weight? People feel guilt about this, guys. People feel bad about this. People stop talking to their loved ones about this. Why were they treated as tests of faithfulness rather than human judgment that might need revisiting? I remember about the hours, and I won't spend too much time on this because I realize you might not care for the details, but I remember when I learned that the Jehovah Witnesses had to kind of report their hours, right? They had to go and say, I have gone preaching outside for like 10 hours, 20 hours this month, all of that, which I will say again and again, to me, that's good. To go out and talk about the gospel, although it's not really. Anyways, talk about the gospel is a good thing. I don't laugh at Jehovah Witnesses for what they do when they're outside preaching. I think it's admirable, and it would be hypocritical of me to go on a mic and say, hey guys, accept Jesus as the Lord and Savior, and then laugh about other people going to knock on doors. It's commendable and it's good. The hours was a problem for me because it was presented to me as a biblical thing. Like, you need to do this way, 2 by 2, going outside, because that's how it was done back in the biblical times. And God is a God of order and numbers, and he knows the stars up in the sky and the number of, if you don't know this is how they teach about the hours. And I remember saying, okay, like, it's good that you do it. I just don't think the way that you're teaching it is true. It does not feel true. It feels like manipulation. It feels like a lie. Why don't you just go outside and do it? Because you love Jehovah, and the end. Like, you want people to come to Jehovah at the end. The reporting to me specifically sounded like, nope. And I was looked at really funny, guys. I was looked at just, like an apostate. Essentially, I'll end it there. And so, like I said, I don't want to mock anybody or attack anybody. I am saying this because wisdom demands that we ask these kind of questions, especially when, like I said, real human lives are involved. My kids are involved. I'm involved. Like I said, half my family, I said it in past episodes, half my family are Jehovah Witnesses, and it hits home for me when I think about my kids. And I'm seeing the rate, like the speed at which these things are happening, these changes are happening. And I'm almost shocked each time, like, guys, slow down, what's happening? And so I can't help but ask myself, why, right? Why? From the outside, there seem to be a couple of broad explanations people gravitate towards as to why all of this is happening at all, but also happening. One is that what I've heard, and I agree in this, is that the organization is just adapting in order to survive, right? It's loosening some of the stricter, what do you want to call it? Like identity markers to attract or to retain people, which to me is a problem because, yes, I understand you're in a world that is less willing to accept rigid control, but also it raises a biblical question about conformity to the world versus faithfulness to, quote unquote, the truth as they teach it. The Bible teaches us not to conform to the patterns of this world. And so it would be weird that then to survive and to attract and retain the members, you have to loosen the very rules you once taught as biblically true and as divine will and all of that. Another possibility that I've seen discussed is that it could be something deeper happening, money related, internal pressure or generational shift or legal even, or just realities that are internal, or even a quiet recognition that some of these rules, right, some of these things were never truly grounded in scripture, which, yes, it can be very frustrating for the inside members and the outside public looking in, but also it's good. I think it is good if it is the case that they're recognizing that some of this was never really grounded in scripture. I'm just side-eyeing this whole thing if it was to be that, because my opinion is they knew. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Of course, it could also be something else entirely. We don't have the full context. We are not these people, but it surely is interesting to watch, just to witness, to witness. Sorry, guys. And so, no, I don't want to rush to any specific conclusion here. I don't think that is helpful. What I wanted to do, was to invite us to sit with these questions, because like I said, it's not just about the JWs. It's about any belief system, any belief system, whether it's religious or secular, how it handles power, how it handles authority and correction and time and the world. It's about how some confident claims, are evaluated over time. It's about what happens when systems speak in absolutes, because this was the case, only to later kind of revise and backtrack those absolutes without fully thinking about the impact that they had on people's lives. And so that's personally why I find this topic so fascinating. Hopefully you as well. Maybe I've brought a new topic your way that you've never thought about. Sometimes the French side just comes out, guys. It is what it is. And yeah, that's why I talk so much about critical thinking, even with the kids. Like I said, yeah, I think it's important not for the kids to be cynical, but because they need just the tools and the conversations and the shaping to know how to think and stand up for the truth. And so I'll leave you with all of those thoughts, right? I want to know what you think. I want to know what lessons you have been learning in the past few years. And again, if you're inside the organization, how are you, just what's happening inside? How are you going through it? What are you learning? I'd really love to hear all of your thoughts. As always, this space, right? This podcast is about faith and culture and everything in between, like I love saying. And if you're here because you want to do all of that, talk about all of that, of course, stick around so we can, do more of this. I will see you next time.